Hello everyone, thank you guys so much for joining us as we are about to get started here with today's webinar. And hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us. My name is Zach here at Share Faith Academy, and I'm excited to get into discussion today with today's webinar topic, which is creating SMART goals for your church website. And we're going to look at how we set goals with websites, what that means for us, and each church is different in that aspect, but what we can do to really target the things that we need to with our goals and help our website become the valuable tool that we want it to be for our ministry overall. As we get started, I just wanted to welcome everyone. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you taking some time on your Tuesday to join us here today. And also, I just wanted to send a special welcome to the Boxcast viewers. Thank you guys so much. I know our partners at Boxcast have done a great job in terms of working with us and coordinating with us in terms of helping to get this information to their members as well, because they knew it would be a big help for you guys as well. And so we're hoping to get you guys set up with some great ideas and thoughts on setting goals with your website. And I just want to let you all know too, if you look down below where the video player is, you'll see a chat box. And I have my good friend Chris here with me, who is going to be on hand to be working with you guys. So if you do have any questions or comments at all during the time of the webinar, feel free to just pop in there, say hello. And as we get started too, since we are talking specifically about goals with our website, I would love to kind of start by having you guys come into the chat and maybe just give us a quick example of what a goal is that you have right now with your website. And then we're going to come back later and kind of review those a bit and look at how we can work with those in terms of your ministry goals overall. And if you guys haven't done the chat before, if this is your first time doing Share Faith Academy, all you need to do is just you can hop down there and just put in your name. You can connect to social media if you want to. You don't have to. If you do, nothing gets posted to your social media feed, so don't worry about that side of it. But let's go ahead and get started. So first, with my welcome, I would just like to throw out a nice quote that I feel is a good start to getting us on track with what we're thinking of. And this is a Tony Robbins quote because, you know, why not? All the good feels. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. And so we want to see the investment, the time, the effort, the finances, everything that goes into, no matter what it is that we're doing with our church, come back to us and return on it to where we can see the fruits of our labors and our efforts. And so that's what we want to do with our websites as well. So now, I'll get into a little bit of why we decided to discuss the topic of setting goals for your website. We'll dive in further into what SMART stands for and how that applies as we get going. And so when we talk about setting goals, what we want to do is help churches get started with their new church website, starting out by asking them several questions to identify their needs and goals. And this is just something that we do here at Share Faith, and I wanted to just kind of let you guys know examples of questions that we use to help identify those things. So first of all, understanding the problem. What is the problem that you're looking to solve with your new church website? Secondly, what is your goal, or what do you hope to get out of your church website? And what is the aha moment for you guys? What will be the moment where you feel that your church website has succeeded? And so we want to ask these questions because we want to understand and make sure we're on the same page with our members and with people who are coming on board. And for thus, what we find out is most time that when we do ask these questions, a lot of times there are no real long-term goals. There's not a huge big picture that you guys are really not saying you guys specifically, but a lot of people that we talk to kind of struggle with or try to envision. And so we wanted to bring these questions up because we want to help tie these together with understanding what we can do more, apart from just having a church website, but also what's its purpose? What is its function as a part of your plan, your church ministry plan, and how we can tie that together. All right, so let's talk a bit about website goals here. So a few questions with goals in particular. Why do you need goals? How do you determine proper goals? And how do you measure success? And so we ask these things because, you know, again, for you coming into the picture, you might be thinking like, well, you know, we just need a website. Why? Well, everybody has a website. I think we've kind of reached that point in terms of our communication standards. You know, everybody is on the internet these days. And so there's that innate desire to have a website where we just go, well, you know, being an organization of any kind, you need to have a website out there. But we find again that you just have that thing like, well, you just have to have a website, but you don't really understand what that website is really doing for you or how you should tailor your site to accomplish the goals and serve the strengths that it's going to serve. Be able to do the things that you want it to do. And so that's why we want to ask these questions as we are looking forward and getting started. So I asked you earlier about what your goals are, and I want to kind of look at these with you and kind of see some examples of what goals that you want to set with your church website right now. So let me just kind of take a peek here and see. So Chris, what kinds of things are we hearing from our folks who are attending right now?
Give me just one moment.
Okay.
I'm sending them right to you, sir.
Okay. So it looks like lots of folks are typing things into the chat, so Chris is sending over.
Just one moment, Zach.
Okay.
Okay, it's coming at you right now.
Okay. I was going to say you can maybe just read some off too if that's easier. Okay, let's see. So let's take a look. Okay, so we got some good stuff here. I see modernize it, keeping it updated. That's a good one for sure. My current goal is actually to go live. Let's see, engagement, okay. Launch a new church site from scratch with templates. I'm trying to pick the best one to start, but allow me to move somewhat easily to more advanced ones later. Okay. Give it a facelift. That's a nice way of putting it. Make it easier to use and find things, modernize, engage people, keep them coming. Okay, I like your thinking there. Increase our reach through streaming and video. Fantastic. Attractional to those who are looking for a church, engagement, modern look. All right. Oh, and get new visitors in the door, including discipleship to non-Christians. Good, like it. New website design, user-friendly. Okay. Ways to get connected and serve. Awesome. Okay, and get new guests. Okay, so that's all the ones that I saw Chris send over to me, so I like it. So there's lots of good things here. So we see a lot of, I see a lot of similarities. We see modernizing it. We see bringing new people in. We want it to be easy to, we want it updated, you know, having it go live. Getting it just up and running. So fantastic. And those are all, you know, engagement definitely is a big one. So I like the way a lot of you guys are thinking. There's a lot of good stuff here. And so I like these goals, and we're going to break some stuff down as we get into it. I'm going to help you guys kind of find ways that you can specifically target what you need to with these goals and put it into a sense that you can really actually set them and move forward with these goals. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go back to the presentation now. All right, so the first thing we're going to start breaking down what SMART stands for. And of course, the first letter being S is going to stand for specific. So with having a specific goal in mind, and what I mean by that is when you're setting a goal, making it a very specific goal that pertains to your website. So obviously we're talking about church website goals. You would take this same concept, you can use it on other things as well, but we're talking about our websites here. And we want to think about how that is going to apply to the bigger picture goal that we have, and breaking down how the website's going to help us reach the specific goals along the way. So for this, I just wanted to give you guys an example. And I think this is something that was close to a couple of comments that people had for goals they have. So with an example goal, we want our website to help us increase attendance at church. I think that's something that you hear a lot. You kind of maybe have in mind when you're thinking about what your website is going to do for you. And so I'm going to give you a few ways that are going to help you break this down a little bit into some actionable items that play into this. First of all, so this is an example, but this is just an idea of like where this all plays in. Search engine ranking for your website. That's going to be one of the things, if you're looking at growing attendance to your church, one of the things that should be on your mind is how you can help your ranking in your search engine. We want our website, and so here's a little bit more specific goal then. We want our website to rank somewhere on the first couple of pages on Google when searching for churches in our area. So that's a more specific goal that ties into the bigger one that I gave as an example, that we wanted to increase our attendance. Another one is visitor feedback. A visitor feedback goal inside of this. We want new visitors citing our website as the source that told them about our church and encouraged them to attend. All right? And then website traffic growth is another thing. We want to see overall growth in website traffic as it pertains to new visitors. So you're looking at some different ideas here that are all combining together to help you with the larger goal, which is simply to have your attendance be affected and increase due to your website. And so this is just some examples of ways we can split out, and we can have more specific goals that are pertaining to the website that help you break it down into actionable items. Now, we still have a little bit further to go. There's other things we can do to make these even better. But from here, let's go on to the next letter in SMART, M, which stands for measurable. So you want to set goals that you can track success with. Before you decide on a goal, plan out how you plan. I like how I wrote that. Plan out how you plan to measure success along with the tools and/or methods that you need to do it. So when you set a goal, you need to have a way that you can actually track the success of it. How are you going to measure that? What's going to be your factors involved to help you along with this? So when you're tracking success, in a sense, you're going to be generating reports for yourself. You're going to take reports on a regular basis to help you put together a picture of the growth and activity for your website over time. So factors to consider. Now this is, again, still applying into our website. Website traffic growth. So meaning just seeing how frequent you are getting new visitors to the website. And monitoring that, of course, is I think a pretty standard way that people recognize. Your sources as well, though, like understanding like where are people coming to your website from? Are they just typing your address directly and coming to it? Are they coming off of a search engine like Google or Bing or any of those? Are they finding you through your Facebook page? Understanding like what are the funnels that are most effective in terms of bringing new people to your website. And then visitor behavior. So understanding, okay, so once somebody gets to your website, what's happening there? Are they coming to your site and registering for an event? Are they listening to your sermon podcast? Are they browsing around and kind of just going to the About page or other areas to learn more about your ministry? So understanding like what is the most common use of your website and how that's being affected by the way that your visitors behave once they get there. Some tools to consider using when you're doing this. Now there's lots of different ways, and it's going to depend on exactly what your goal is with your website and how you want to track that. The ones that I've got listed here, Google Webmaster is one that's very popular for Google Analytics as well. And if you are a ShareFaith member, we've got this awesome tool built into your editing system called Sidekick Insights, and that gives you all the details you need from most reports that you're going to be looking at. It's going to give you your tracking information to see, what your visitor count is, like what your traffic is like for the month, a picture of that, or a week or days. You can break it down. You can see the sources that are coming in from. You can see like what are your most downloaded or listened to podcasts or sermons. So like all of that information is already applied to you through the ShareFaith dashboard on your website. But even if you're not a ShareFaith member or website, you can still use services like Google Analytics and Google Webmaster that can still give you a picture of at least some of the stuff that you're looking for. And there's more out there as well. These are just some ones that are either free or included with your ShareFaith membership that you don't have to worry about going and hunting around for. And so these are some tools that can help you in understanding like what are the tools that I'm going to use to help me track success. Now these are just some examples. You can go further even, like we talked about the idea of visitor feedback. How are you going to track visitor feedback if that's a way that you're going to look at to see like, okay, these people were new visitors and they cited our website for coming. How did we get that information? Was it face-to-face conversations? Was it filling out a Get Connected card? Did they submit something on the website before they came? So there's other ways that you can kind of put the pieces together, I should say, to kind of build the whole story for you as you're working to it. And you just want to make sure that your efforts are working toward your greater goal. All right. Next, think about it in achievable sense. We don't want to set lofty goals that we can't reach. We have to be practical in understanding where our goals need to start out at. Especially if you are just starting, it can be difficult because you don't have any information yet to go back on to look and see what kind of growth you should expect. Now, if you've had your website a while and you understand what's already happening with it currently and you're looking to help it reach that next step, whether that's in the engagement side of things or whatever it could be, having these goals be achievable and setting practical goals to help you get started. So I took this picture, if anybody's ever seen this movie, What About Bob? It's a classic that's one of my wife's favorites for sure. And so in this movie you have this character, Bill Murray plays as, who is just got all kinds of things with dependency issues and everything, and he gets this book called Baby Steps. And so when we talk about achievable goals, this is the first thing that jumps to my mind automatically, and talking about baby steps. So we want to start off with small initial goals that help us to build up to those larger goals over time. We want to keep it realistic. We want to make sure that, especially as I said with new websites, you're going to have to be patient to build up these goals and expectations. I think sometimes we have this idea that if we get the website built, that automatically we're just going to see this giant jump in traffic the first time that we tell people it's out there, or as soon as we open it up for Google to start indexing it or what have you. But the reality is it's going to take time. Anything like that is going to take time for people to adopt it, to start coming to it regularly, for search engines to properly index it and really provide you higher ranking on it, even if you've optimized it as much as you can. So there's going to be a period that you'll have to be patient with new websites in particular, and really any dramatic changes you make. Knowing is half the battle. So this is where you want to keep your reports handy that you make to help you compare and contrast over time. And this is going to help you build that plan. So you understand, like, yes, these goals are absolutely achievable. We've seen this much increase over time once we've applied these changes. We believe that continuing on this track or doing these things will make a big difference and help us to reach this next goal or this next plateau that we're looking to reach. And so that information is all going to be extremely helpful in getting you set to understand, like, yes, this is a reasonable expectation of what we see based on what we've already done. All right, so now moving on to the R, which is relevant. And by the way, at the very end here, we will have some time for Q&A, and I'm going to have a part 2 where I'm going to give you guys an example of breaking this into taking a goal, an example goal like we've done before, and like using the SMART principle all around it so you guys can see this. So the goals that we need to have are relevant. And so we're talking about church websites, and that's what our goals need to be about, our church websites. So they need to have a clear connection to our larger goals as a church. So whenever we're aiming for a goal, we need to ask how it pertains to the bigger picture first. So here's the thing. Ask yourself how your goal relates to your website and your overall ministry goals. So there's a couple things I want to talk about in terms of when you're doing this. Now, whenever you are working on communicating, because our website is one of our communication platforms, whenever you're looking at communicating, there's a couple different things that you're going to do with your website. You're either going to use it as a link in the chain of communication. Somewhere along the way, you are going to use your website as a vehicle to point visitors to another vehicle of communication. So for those who are looking to increase attendance, their goal is not to get people just to come to the website, but from there, they want the people who visit the website to then be encouraged to actually attend the church in person. So you see, that's an example of where this is just a link in that communication. Now, the other possibility is that this could be considered the final link in the chain. And that could be situations where perhaps you are doing things with online registration or online giving, or maybe you're doing something where you are providing information that is on your website and you want your users to know about it. Perhaps you post something on social media and then you want people to follow that social media link to your website to be able to perform whatever action is that you're asking of them. And then from there, at that point, they've completed the task the goal that you've set forth. And so understanding like which one you are doing with it and how it pertains to your overall ministry goals, regardless, even if the website is the final destination of that communication, then making sure that that plays into whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. All right. And last but certainly not least, the T, which is for timely, or time-based, or however you want to say it. The point is, we want to keep in mind a time frame as we're putting this stuff together. So with this, we want to make sure that we have a real timetable associated with this. So the first thing I mentioned was time frame. Setting goals within time frames to help you measure and track your success. So this ties back directly into measurement. This talks into how we are understanding to see that success if we don't set a time frame that we're going to look at. So let's say if you want to say, hey, over the next 30 days, we want to see this level of increase in our church attendance, and we want to see this level of increase in our church website. So you're giving yourself a time frame to look at. A deadline could be saying okay, by this time, let's say, by the end of Easter this year, which is coming up, don't mean to scare you, by the time Easter this year, we would like our website interaction and engagement to show this level of activity increase over the time that we're seeing now, and having a deadline so you can also motivate yourself with a deadline by understanding hey, if we're not there yet coming up as it's getting closer, what else can we do at that stage to help reach that goal? And then, of course, comparison. So as you are taking this information, you're collecting this data over time, and let's say you've got a look at the past year of what you've accomplished, then going into the next year as you move forward, and you've seen already what this time period, let's say, here we are in January, let's say comparing January 2017 to where we are now in January 2018, we can look back and we can see, yes, this is the amount of change that we've seen, and whether or not we're on track with our goals then. If we're not, that's something where we can start brainstorming and discussing opportunities to help that. Otherwise, if we are seeing that change, we can compare that, we can show that to our leadership, we can tie that directly into our overall ministry goals, and that's what you want to do. You want to see that. So now let's go ahead and take each of these principles and we're going to tie them into the goal that we started with. So we talked about the idea of the example goal that we had was we want to see an increase in attendance at our church and have it relate to our website. So from people saying that they are coming as a result of being to the website. So the specific thing, let's make it specific. We want to see 50 new visitors citing the website as their source for hearing about our church and deciding to attend. So you've set a specific goal now. You want 50 new visitors, and we want them to specifically come around and say that they came as a result of the website. Obviously, every church is going to be different. This is just an example. So we'll see, don't be like, oh, okay, well, that's 50. That's what I'll do. Your church may be different. Measurable. So how are you going to measure this? How are you going to track the success of this? So an example you can write down is we're going to use our visitor cards, our Get Connected cards, or whatever you might have at your disposal there at your church, email signups that we get as a result from people coming to the website and seeing those people then attend church, and metrics off the website to track those who hear about us through the website, okay? This is achievable, and what we're going to do is we're going to start by boosting new traffic to our website by helping our website rank higher for search engines. So you're giving yourself a baby step. Okay, so it's not that I have to do anything dramatic changes on the website to make it so that people who come to it will increase attendance, but this is one baby step I'm going to take. I'm going to start by optimizing my site for search engines. From there, you can go on to say I'll go on to add an area on the site where I can direct new visitors to encourage them and be able to have them commit to coming to service, and however you want to approach that. So, but you just need to start out with those small actionable items and take it one at a time to help you achieve that bigger picture. Relevant. Okay, so how is this goal that you have, trying to boost traffic to your website and such, going to be relevant to your overall ministry goal? Well, we believe that by helping unique website visits increase, meaning that we look at the visitors, and unique visits are we know those are people who are not going to be like repeat visitors all the time, but unique visits increase, we can reach more potential newcomers to our church, and ergo then go into a point where you are building your church and bringing in more people and expanding the kingdom. And then timely, we're going to set a deadline of 1 month to have 50 new visitors cite the website for funding our church. Again, you might have to change that up just depending on what you're looking at and understand like what's going to be a practical thing for your goals. But I think if you're setting monthly goals, quarterly goals, I would say those are good time frames to give yourself to see whatever level of increase you're looking at. And probably more than just saying a strict number, more percentages and things like that, so you can kind of play it to your actual church family and how that will look. All right, so now after talking about breaking down what SMART means, so we've got specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely. That's what SMART means for us. What are your SMART goals? So think about what you wrote earlier in there and how you guys had said stuff like we want to modernize it, we want to increase engagement, we want to be able to see more people come from it. We want the website to be updated. We want to, whatever it is. Think about it. Okay, now what are your SMART goals? How are you going to break this down? What's the more specific version of your goal? How are you going to measure the success that you see from that? What is achievable for you to start out with and help you build towards that larger goal? How is that goal relevant to your ministry? So having a modernized website, what is that going to do to make it relevant to your overall ministry plans and goals? You could say we want to have a good first impression for those who see us online. We want to make sure that things are clean and simple on our site that people can easily navigate through, because that way we have a better opportunity to communicate what we want to them, and that plays into our overall goal of eventually communicating to them and inviting them to service. You want it to be timely. You're going to want to do things to help you kind of move along. Look at like, okay, this is a time frame we want to see this change take place. These are the deadlines that we want to have set for this to be done by. And if that's coming up and we're not there yet, then that's a motivator for us to look at what other opportunities we have to help us reach that point by that period. And so having those goals for yourself, you guys can, if you'd like to in the chat, feel free to jump in there and maybe see if there's something that's a little bit more, if you feel like you understand now what we're talking about, ways that you can make your goals even more effective by using these principles. And so while you're doing that too, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit, like this is a big help to have a game plan involved as you are going forward. Having a strategy, having a plan put together. Chris, if you don't mind switching it back over so they can see my screen. So having your game plan put together, and this is something we here at Share Faith Academy are very big about. We want to make sure that as people are coming in, they've got a plan, they've got a good idea of going forward of what they want to accomplish, and we try to do our best to help them there. We put together an intuitive game plan for our members that they get no matter what membership or plan they have with us, so that they can get started right away with building and publishing a church website. And a couple of things too, just so you guys know, in regards to Share Faith and what we do here as it pertains to our websites and our members here, a couple services that we have. One, we do offer website migration. So if you guys are currently with a website service right now and you're not the most satisfied with it or most thrilled with it, and you've been considering Share Faith, I know many of people who are come here today probably were interested to see what Share Faith offers in regards to websites, then this is an opportunity where you can become a complete member member and get migration for free, well, we'll actually take all the content that's on your site now, move it to one of our designs, and then get it going for you and ready to publish so that you can just take off with it and go from there and do all that work for you. And then also you can build with confidence because you have a game plan available to you, a very intuitive website builder. It's one of the main reasons that our members say they choose ShareFaith is because they love how easy it is to work with, and free lifetime support. So we let you build with confidence, and that's our goal, is to help you to feel confident and empowered with everything that you're doing with your site. And I have here a bunch of testimonials, different ones of people who are just talking about their experience here with ShareFaith. And if you'd like to, you can actually check out, we have a review page on sharefaith.com that you can learn more about. And we have, a massive testimonial page of just different things that people have, whether it's something that they've submitted to us directly, they've posted it online about us. We gather those and just love to hear what our customers have to say about us. So. But at this time, though, enough of that. I'm just going to let you guys turn it over to you, and we'll see what kinds of questions you guys have, and be happy to do our best to answer those for you.
Yeah. So, Cheryl had said, she'd asked, she goes, at this time, all we have is a simple face page. Are there resources within ShareFaith to help us develop our website for those who have no website development experience?
Yeah, so Cheryl has a great question. And so she says that she has, right now, her church has a Facebook page and is not currently set up with a full-blown website at this time, and does not have experience with it. Cheryl, you're in the same boat as I would probably suggest about 80 to 90% of our existing members were in before they came to ShareFaith. So yeah, absolutely. I would recommend, if you want to talk with us afterwards, you can you can chat with one of our support representatives, and we can talk about your situation, what you're looking for in your website, and see how we can be of assistance and perhaps helping you to get a full website platform built for your church. So definitely reach out to us after this, and we'll do our best to, like Chris is on there with you, and if he can get your details and things like that to just follow up with you, we'll definitely do that.
Kathy W. She said that they wanted to find new visitors to worship services or also to events. So, like, I believe what she's asking is, can they do these things to help to find new visitors from, where did they come from, events, or did they come from worship services?
Gotcha.
I believe that's what she's asking.
Sure. So, well, there's different ways that you could track things like that. So depending on how your question was intended, I believe what you're suggesting is if somebody is coming to an event in person already, and you want to track, so if they're coming to your website to learn more about the church, to understand where that source is coming from, like what drew them to your church to begin with, there's the things that you can do. Obviously, you can have materials out for them with either a dedicated URL address that they can go to a page on your site, perhaps. Then you can track to see the activity to that page. You can use things like, that's where a situation like QR codes can come in handy, where if you have print resources and materials available at those events, you can track to see how many people are scanning those things and able to follow along with that. You can also do things like have a form on your site that they come to, and you can have a drop down or a type of field that they can enter to tell you where they first heard about your church from. Yes, Chris.
I just wanted to interrupt because this is one of my most exciting, the things that are most exciting to me about our forms, our new form builder. They can actually track on their website now. Mm-hmm. People who fill out their forms, what they filled out, what field they filled out, and they don't have to wait for an email or worry about getting emails being lost. We have a tutorial, on our
so with ShareFaith, we have things on our website where, as people are using the form system, like, we can help maintain that data for them, so that as people are entering in and understanding how that information came about to be, or like however they came to the form and stuff like that.
It'll print as a CSV file for them, so they can
like a spreadsheet that they could then look at through Excel. Cool. So that's cool. Hey, I learned something new too. Like, Chris is here working on our sites all the time, and so he's caught up on everything. That's awesome. So there are options like that too. So there's lots of different tools and resources at your disposal disposal to help you if you want to try to be more, I guess, more on top of that with keeping track of people who are coming to your site after coming to events and following that trail of how they're eventually coming to service.
Julio asks, he says, because of the social media, I constantly have the challenge where people do not know how to properly navigate on web pages. Any ideas?
So Julio says, because of social media, there are challenges where people don't know how to properly navigate on web pages. Well, I'd have to take a look and see what you're doing currently with your website to maybe give some more insight. But I would say initially, when the challenge of how to make your website user-friendly, in a sense, and easy for them to navigate through, there's that common saying, less is more. I definitely suggest taking a less is more approach with your navigation, making things very clear. You know what I did too when I was first starting out with getting a website built. I'll go around and I'll take ideas on like what other churches are using for their navigation links, because I want to understand exactly like because in most cases, I'm being realistic, my church website, especially if they're going through searches and stuff like that, is most likely not the first church website they've seen. But there's going to be certain patterns and distinctions as people go through websites that should be similar enough to where they know, okay, if I'm coming to this church's website and I want to understand who their staff is, I want to know what their mission and vision is, I want to know where I can go to contact them, look and see what those labels are on other sites, and understand like how those are organized in a way that they're easy to find. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with going and gathering some ideas and concepts for some material from other sites as well. But I would say that's a big help. And then just keeping in mind not to go crazy. Less is more. I would say, you know, 6 to 8 main pages maximum in most situations, and you don't even need that in a lot of cases. So, and then from there, making it easy once they get to those pages, if you need to go down further down that trail into more specific areas of your church, making that clearly labeled and easy to see.
So Richard says our current website is on a WordPress platform. We have included giving. Does ShareFaith allow for this?
Oh yes, so if you guys are looking at getting giving set up, you should actually look into ShareFaith Giving, which comes with the ShareFaith membership at no extra cost. So there are standard transaction fees and stuff that you know, are very comparable to what you would find with a lot of companies that will charge you monthly rates and everything on top of that. So look into that, but that's already included. It's very simple to set up and use, and I mean, I've used it before with my church, and it's just so nice to be able to have the ability to do things where I can set up auto giving. I can go in and I can view my reports and see my giving. It's a really intuitive dashboard to work with for your treasurer or any of your volunteers or anybody who help with that. So that's something I definitely recommend checking out, is ShareFaith Giving with your church website. Even if you're not using a ShareFaith website, that's still a platform available to you, being a ShareFaith member. Oh yeah, and also we're doing a webinar on that next week too. So if you go to ShareFaith Academy's homepage later after this, yeah, thanks Chris. He's just like, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a webinar on that next week. Yes, check that out. We're doing a webinar on how to help your congregation in sense of learning and encouraging them with online giving so that they understand it, and helping you guys see you know, that adoption and motivation to use it by them. So check that out. That's next Tuesday is that webinar. So I definitely encourage you to attend that one as well if you're curious about that.
What are things to consider when changing a live site under a traditional template over to the Parallax design? Okay,
so it sounds like we have someone here who's a ShareFaith member. They're currently working with what we've labeled as traditional templates, where they're just page-by-page sites, and we have other designs that are a parallax system. We will make it very easy for you if you want to just contact our support team. We can help you get set up with a development site that can work to make it so you can just go on there, make all your changes, move your content over easily, and then we can flip the switch when it's done, so that way you don't lose any downtime with your website or anything like that.
We also have a tutorial.
Oh, and we do, okay, and Chris, the tutorial wizard, has made a tutorial for that even, because we think of everything. Wow. So check out, if you go to ShareFaith support site after this, you can check out a tutorial on that, and then just follow those directions, and like I said, just contact us and we'll help you get that ball rolling.
Do you provide website evaluations and offer suggestion for improvement?
Well, with website evaluations, it's not a service that we specifically have, but Chris, I can tell you want to say something.
I was just saying about our member coaches and how they help guide them when they have a ShareFaith website.
Sure. Okay, so absolutely, like we do have our member coaching staff, so if you guys do have questions about something, if you're concerned about perhaps the way that your website is doing something or looks in a certain way that you're not feeling is working for you, you can at least give us a call and we can look over things with you and do our best in that situation to kind of help provide whatever insight that we can to help you guys out with that. But yeah, just reach out to us and we'll take a look for you and see what we can do to help.
And somebody, Richard asked, do ShareFaith websites automatically resize for smaller devices?
Oh yes, absolutely. So if you guys have, our websites are mobile friendly for all of our members, so we automatically build in mobile responsiveness to all of our designs, so you don't have to worry whether your users are coming to it on a computer like a laptop or desktop, or if they're viewing it through a tablet or a phone, whatever the case may be. And then of course with Complete membership we even have the mobile app as well, so you can have that in addition to your mobile site. But yes, with all of our websites we provide mobile responsive designs, so regardless of what size device they're viewing it through, they'll have no problem.
Joshua is asking, he wants to know best practices for posts and events that have passed, like old ones, like should they archive them or just do away with them?
Oh, okay, I see. So like if you're talking about like, especially with like blog posts and things of that nature, or like old events that you've promoted before.
Christmas parties and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. You know, that's a system where it's good to, like in my opinion, I always like to use like the blog system on the sites for creating those types of events and announcements, because it makes it very easy for those to be archived. I would not leave those hanging around for a long time. It's okay to have something up for a little while, just so that way as people are coming to your site, they can see, oh hey, they just recently had these kinds of things, and they can see that events are taking place and how, you know, things come around that they might be able to take advantage of and be able to join or be a part of at some point. But I would not keep a long list of old events. I would recommend maybe just going back a few months or so, if that, and then from that point on archiving. And you could eventually, you know, end up reusing those posts. So if you're going to have the same Christmas party next year, for example, you can go back into it, make the changes to times and dates and everything of that nature, and then be able to make it easier for yourself to post that later on. So that's what I would suggest in terms of with old content on your site. But you definitely don't want to leave outdated content hanging around too long, as it can definitely make the site look stale, especially if it's not getting updated on a frequent basis.
What is a realistic timeline for setting up our church website if we are starting, for the most part, from scratch?
I would say for sure you could definitely do it within a month, maybe 2. If you're doing that, it shouldn't take you any longer than 3 months. I mean, that's if you're like a volunteer who can only to have it fully loaded with everything to go. Yeah, if you're just looking to get started and have, get all of the important content and information on there and have it set up and ready to go, you could easily get it out within a couple weeks. But and that's something too, where especially as you're starting out and with ShareFaith, like we do onboarding with our members to help you guys establish your goals, establish your timelines, get the rundown and understanding how the system works, so you are completely confident, ready to go. And then we'll check in with you during that first few months, especially just to make sure that everything is moving smoothly for you and everything is rolling the way that it should be.
All right.
All right, are we looking good? Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for coming, and I appreciate the time and some great questions. Awesome, great questions and feedback. I hope that you guys were able to really get some good ideas in terms of how to apply some further principles to help you guys establish more specific goals that you can do more to really track your success. Just like, here at work, it's the same thing. Everything that we're doing, we want to make sure that we understand as we get started what the greater plan is and what we want to do and and what we want to accomplish from it. And so just like that, churches are the same way. As you set forth and put forth effort, time, finances, whatever it is, you want to make sure that that is all being invested into something that you can then later look back on and say, yes, this worked, no, this did not, and help you to see where the strengths are of the different things that you're using, like with your website. What are the strengths for it? What are the areas that I need to have other platforms come into play to help out more, or where the website needs to be just a link in the chain to another destination? So there are things like that that all come into play as you build this out, and it'll grow easier over time for you to really pull and see, like, this is what we want to accomplish and this is how we're going to get there. So I thank you guys so much. Your success is our success in all of our eyes here at ShareFaith. So we want to make sure that all churches are succeeding with whatever their tools, whatever their resources that they're using to further the kingdom. So before we go, we'll stay around for a little bit longer on chat, just in case there's any last minute questions or comments that come into play. But before we head out, I'm going to pray, and then I'll dismiss you guys. So.